With Ubuntu about to switch to GNOME as its default desktop, there's been a lot of discussion of the upcoming Ubuntu desktop and the modifications they've made to standard GNOME. I thought the best way to look at that is to compare it with standard GNOME, and that's most reliably available in Fedora, where the GNOME project actually got started under Red Hat. So I'm going to compare the two just to see what the differences are. Both of them use Wayland as the default display manager, but you have an option upon logging in to select the traditional Xorg display manager. This is the Fedora login screen, and when you click on your name, you'll be given an opportunity to enter a password, and below that is a little gear symbol. When you click on that, you'll see a choice of GNOME, GNOME Classic, and GNOME on Xorg. GNOME means that it uses the default Wayland display manager. GNOME Classic is just incidental here. It's a look-alike of GNOME 2, but if you want the GNOME 2 experience, I suggest skipping this altogether and using the Mate desktop. So the third choice here is GNOME on Xorg, and I've chosen that because a simple screen recorder doesn't work on Wayland. Others might choose it because many graphics cards do not yet support Wayland. This is the Ubuntu login screen, and it uses a similar procedure, but you see only two choices: Ubuntu, which means Ubuntu with Wayland, and Ubuntu on Xorg. Now, GNOME has traditionally been rather heavy in its use of resources. It's my perception that GNOME 3.26 is a little less resource intensive than 3.24. I've made a list here both for Fedora and Ubuntu, and with the Xorg and Wayland display managers under three conditions. One is the desktop only is showing. The next one is that Firefox is displaying the Google search page. And the next one is that a YouTube video is running on Firefox at the standard size, not full screen. So as you can see in the Fedora examples, the Xorg display manager is a little more resource intensive than Wayland. But if you compare Fedora and Ubuntu, you can see that the Xorg examples on Ubuntu are noticeably lower in their requirements than the examples for Fedora. On the other hand, Wayland is almost identical to Xorg in Ubuntu. It's a little smaller with the desktop only, but it's a little larger with the Google search page and a little larger with the YouTube video. It basically makes no substantial difference in order of magnitude. This is Fedora 27 Beta 1.5 with the GNOME 3.26 desktop. Now this is the unenhanced desktop that you would normally expect from GNOME 3. You have a transparent top panel, but it turns black when you open an application. And if you notice, simple screen recorder is still too big for the display in Fedora. I was able to get around this by putting my pointer below the display. And to see where I put it, I either had to click on Activities or the Super key, and I could see where the buttons are. I haven't installed the tweak tool, so with Fedora there's no minimize and toggle maximize buttons. Those are available with the tweak tool. You have to right click on the top of the window and you have a choice: minimize, maximize, move, resize, always on top. By the way, these don't necessarily work with a simple screen recorder window, only with windows that have those options. So if I click on maximize, nothing happens. But if I click on minimize, it disappears. So if I click on activities, I get the overview here showing the active windows in this workspace, or I could click on the other workspace over here where there are no active windows. And of course I can see the dash. Now I've left the dash exactly as it was, except of course it shows Simple Screen Recorder, which is currently in operation. And to get to the overview of the applications, you click on this matrix symbol and you see the applications. You can turn that off by clicking on activities again, or as I'm doing now, pressing the super key. It goes back to the normal view. Now if you look for the tweak tool in Fedora, you can type tweak and it finds it in GNOME software, and you can install it by clicking on this. It will take you to GNOME software. However, for this video I don't want to install the tweak tool, so I'm going to ignore this. I did have to install the RPM Fusion repositories, but that's not a GNOME issue, it's a Fedora issue. I needed them to install Simple Screen Recorder. So in the middle you have the day and time. You have a calendar if you click on that, and you have notifications if there are any. In this case there are no notifications. Now I could add the weather app if I wanted to, but I have to select a location. Over here, all of these icons actually take you to the same place. There's no system tray anymore. Click anywhere in this area and you're going to get a selection of options here. It shows sound, it shows my microphone, shows brightness. Now my wireless router is not working at the moment, so I haven't tried Wi-Fi, but I have a wired connection and that's working perfectly. I have tried with a public Wi-Fi and I had no trouble doing so. So I have confidence that this network manager is working. So you have a VPN, which I don't have. You have Bluetooth, which is on, but I'm not using it. The battery is fully charged, and this is the user. I can log out and I can go to my account settings. Now below here, this will lock the screen, and this is for shutting down. So this is the quickest way to get to settings. And this is the new settings manager. I think it's called a control center. Now again with Fedora, I have to right click on this and click on maximize. So you have the Wi-Fi, and it shows you the visible networks. Mine is not among them. You have Bluetooth. I don't have any Bluetooth active. Clicking on background, you have your choice of backgrounds. Notifications. You can turn notifications on or off. I have them on. And you can do the same with lock screen notifications. You can also go by application, the type of notification that you want to see. Archive Manager, clocks, desktop sharing, evolution, files, problem reporting, rhythm box, software. Under search, you have your option as to what you want to search. You can put all of these on, or just one or two of them on, or none of them on. Contacts is on by default. Documents is on by default. Files is on by default. Boxes is on by default. Calculator is on by default. The calendar is on by default. Characters is off by default. Clocks is on by default. Software is on by default. And the terminal is on by default, and weather is off by default. If you click on this little gear symbol down here, it gives you a further choice for search locations. What kind of files do you want to search? Videos, music, pictures, documents, home, downloads. They're all on by default. Now that works with this search bar up here. You don't have to point to it. Anytime you press the super key or click on activities, you can type with your arrow anywhere in the screen, and it will get into that search bar. I typed an L and I got LibreOffice. I'm not going to go there. Now, region and language. It's taking a while to go to region and language. I have it currently set to English United States, United States English, English US. You can change that. Universal access. You have a choice of always showing the universal access menu. In this case, it's off. High contrast is off. Large text is off. Cursor size, it's using the default size. Zoom is off. Screen reader is off. Sound keys are off. Visual alerts are off. And the screen keyboard is off. You can scroll down here. Repeat keys is on. Cursor blinking is on. Type assisting is off. Mouse keys are off. Click assist are off, and double click delay. I guess that's click assist. It's off, but it can be adjusted. Online accounts, you can incorporate access to any of your online accounts from the desktop. I haven't done that. Privacy, The screen lock is on. I'm going to turn that off. I hate locked screens. And I have the automatic screen lock off. I left notifications on. Location services I left on. Usage and history I left on only because this is a beta version. And purging trash and temporary files is off. Problem reporting I left on automatic, again because this is the beta version. And I want to report any problems I have. Now with sharing, you have an option. This is my computer name. I can turn on file sharing, screen sharing, media sharing, and remote login, but they're all off. Sound shows that I'm using the speakers on my Yeti stereo microphone, meaning that my earphone is plugged into the microphone. And for input, I'm using the Yeti stereo microphone. Power shows that my battery is fully charged. Shows that screen brightness is at 100%. Here, dim screen when inactive is on. I'm going to turn that off. Blank screen is shown as 5 minutes. I'm going to turn that to never. The Wi-Fi turns off the Wi-Fi to save power, even though I'm not using Wi-Fi. I'm going to turn that off. I certainly wouldn't want my reception interrupted if I were using it. And Bluetooth is currently on, but since I don't have any Bluetooth devices, I'm going to turn that off. Now the automatic suspend is off. When the power button is pressed, I have a choice to suspend or turn the power off, hibernate, or nothing. I'm going to say turn the power off. So going to networks, it's currently connected to the wired network. VPN is not set up, network proxy is not set up, and as I said, I'm not using Wi-Fi, so that doesn't appear here. If I did add Wi-Fi, it would appear here. Now under devices, you've got printers. I don't have any printers connected right now. Keyboard. And it gives you the keyboard shortcuts, but most of them are not really shortcuts at this point. I'm not going to go into that. Mouse and touchpad, it gives you the way you want your touchpad operating. I left that at the default. Displays, it shows the landscape. I could turn the display so that the narrow sides were at the top and the bottom. Of course, I'd have to crane my neck to see them. And it shows the current resolution of my display. Night light is off. And if you turn that on, you get a schedule that it comes on, or you can operate it manually, and I'm not going to do either. I don't particularly like the night light, but those who are worried about their circadian rhythms might like it. Removable media shows what should happen when I insert various types of media. I'm not going to do anything now. The default is ask what to do. I don't have a Wacom tablet, so it says no stylus found. And with color, you can set the color profile for various things here. Since there are no other devices connected, it shows the laptop screen. But I'm not going to mess with the color profile. So that's devices. And there's one more item down here you have to scroll down to see, and that's details. And you get the usual detail screen which shows you that this is Fedora 27. It shows the device name, the amount of memory, the processor, the graphics processor, GNOME version 3.26, OS type 64-bit, disk size. Now, this is one partition of an external hard drive. It also gives you the option of checking for updates. Date and time. I have automatic date and time set, but the automatic time zone is off. But that was selected during installation, Chicago, United States. Time format 24-hour. Notice up here is 1304. I'm going to change that to AM, PM, or 12-hour. And now it shows 1:04 p.m. Users, so far I'm the only one. I could add users, I suppose. I'm not sure quite how. Oh, first I'd have to unlock it. I'm not going to do that now. And default application shows Firefox Evolution, Mail Evolution Calendar, Rhythmbox Music. Video is now just videos, GNOME videos. Photos is the image viewer. And you can change these. I'm not going to. If I were to use this, I would make Thunderbird my email client, and I would make VLC my music player and my video player. I haven't installed VLC, but I could from the RPM Fusion repositories. So that's the extent of the settings. Now, as far as LibreOffice, here's LibreOffice Calc. It's the latest version, 5.4. And you'll find that, generally speaking, the software in Fedora and Ubuntu are both up to date at this point, where they're both approaching the new release, version 5.4.1.2. Now, after a few months has elapsed, you'll find that the software in Fedora is more up to date than the software in Ubuntu, but right now they're comparable. Now you notice there are no icons displayed on the Fedora desktop by default, and apparently there's no way to change that without installing the tweak tool, but I like it with no icons, so that's fine with me. This is Fedora 27 Beta 1.5 with the GNOME 3.26 desktop. This is Ubuntu 17.10 Beta 2. This is also GNOME 3.26, but a few differences with Fedora are immediately noticeable. For one thing, the dash is visible all the time. This is called dash to dock. You don't have to click on activities or press the super key to see it. The second thing that's immediately obvious is that Ubuntu shows the connected drives and the trash by default, and there doesn't seem to be any way of turning that off without using the tweak tool. and I can't seem to delete them. So I guess I'll just have to live with those. I know that I can turn that option off with the tweak tool, but as with Fedora, I'm not going to use the tweak tool here. It didn't come installed, and I'm not going to download it. However, I have downloaded it before, and I know that it can be done. Now I've left this dock or dashboard just the way it was, except of course Simple Screen Recorder is visible since it's running, and I obtain Simple Screen Recorder directly from GNOME software, or as Ubuntu calls it, Ubuntu software. You have the same transparent panel at the top. You have the same options at the right here. You have the same situation at the center, and when you click on Activities or the Super key, you get the overview. One thing I want to mention is that Simple Screen Recorder in Ubuntu GNOME is sized so that the application window fits on the display, which is not the case on Fedora. Notice also that the minimize and toggle maximize buttons are available in Ubuntu by default. You don't need the tweak tool to install them. Now these differences are baked into the code. They're not added with the tweak tool. If you want to see the installed applications, just click on this matrix symbol as with Fedora. Now these are the frequently used ones, and these are all of them. Now if you search for the tweak tool in Ubuntu by typing tweak, again, it leads you to the software center, but I'm not going to install it. Now, as I mentioned, I was able to get Simple Screen Recorder directly from the software. There it is. Now going to the settings again, I could use this method I did with Fedora and clicking on here, or I could simply press the super key and start typing settings, and there they are. The same is true of Fedora and Ubuntu, but the selection of settings is slightly different. They both have the Wi-Fi, which I have turned off, as I said, Bluetooth, which I don't use. The backgrounds are slightly different. But there's about the same number. Here's one that does not occur in Fedora, and that's this dock setting. You can auto hide the dock. I have it turned off, but you can turn it on, and you can change the icon size. In the Fedora dash, the icons decrease in size as you add more icons, but you can't change them deliberately, at least without the tweak tool. Didn't want to go that far. I'll take it back up here to 48, it's usually larger than I want. Now you can also put it on the left side where it is, at the bottom. Or on the right side. Left is fine with me. Now notifications are the same. You have the same selections. Search is similar. You have Ubuntu software instead of GNOME software. Strikes me that you have a few more things to search in Fedora. Region and language are the same. Universal access is the same. Online accounts is similar, but you have a media server down here. And you've got more. To-do list, IMAP and SMTP for mail, enterprise login, a few different things here. Privacy is the same. I'm going to turn off the screen lock. Here the location services are off. I'm going to turn them on. I'm going to leave usage and history on. Leave purge trash and temporary files off. Leave problem reporting on automatic. Again, because it's a beta version and I want to report my problems. Network connectivity checking, I'm going to leave on. Sharing is similar. My computer has a different name. Sound is similar, and I have it set similarly. The power, I'm going to turn dim the screen off again. I'm going to blank the screen never. And here it says, here turning off the Wi-Fi to say power is off by default. Bluetooth is on by default. I'm going to turn it off. Automatic suspend is off, and when the power button is pressed, power off is already set the way I want it. Now network is the same. I'm not connected to wireless yet. Devices is the same. I don't have a printer connected. I don't have a Wacom tablet, etc. So I can go back and details. Similar, of course, this is a different system. It's Ubuntu 17.10. My computer has a different name. I have the same processor and graphics processor. It's still GNOME 3.26. OS type is still 64 bits. The disk is just a partition on a remote hard drive. It's a little bit smaller, and you can check for updates. Under date and time, automatic date and time is on, automatic time zone is off. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to make the time format AM and PM, so up here where you see 14:17, that's now 2:17 p.m. And I could probably add a user if I unlock this, but I don't want to right now. Default applications are the same. So if I look at LibreOffice Calc, it's also version 5.4.1.2. So that's GNOME 3.26 as it appears modified in Ubuntu 17.10. This is XRAM Tech. Thanks for watching.